Welcome to the Wooper Club League Play-In Round Recap. This is a Johto-only edition of the... It's not quite the power rankings. It's tougher and tougher to do that as we get closer to the end of the season with fewer teams and coaches remaining. That said, not only did the play-in round feature only Johto teams, but I am flying solo today. I'm your host IllLogic, coach of the Buffalo Bouffalant, coach of the only team to avoid the play-in round in Johto. But I'm without my usual co-host Steve today, who is under the weather. I hope you're feeling better by the match there, buddy. That said, what is on the agenda today? Well, we're going to cover the play-in round, then go over the matches for the next round, the overall quarterfinals, or the conference semifinals, or the round of 8. Let me know down below how you think we should be referring to those, because boy, have we been confused on that front. So with that said, let's get rolling. We had the pleasure of watching some incredible matches this week, and also this one between the number 4 Lorraine Lyron and the number 5 Cincinnati Incineroar. The Incineroar lead off with Espathra, and spoiler alert, they aren't going to be switching. Glamora with Rock swapping into Dondozo, and that's 2 Calm Minds up. Sure, Unaware could ignore the boost, but not the power buff to Stored Power. Dondozo goes down doing minimal damage while Espathra heals up with its lefties. Glamora with a bit of chip too, but it goes down after 2 hits thanks to Focus Sash. Crocodile, your only hope. Terra Dark matched by Terra Water. Neither does enough damage to Oko the other. That means Espathra at plus 6 speed will win that trade. And of course, KO the final 3 mons too. A 6-0 sweep means the Incineroar will move on to the next round. Next up, Michael in the number 3 Route 1 Burbs taking on Tyler in the number 6 Music City Mudkips. It's our feature match, but with very little content to go over already, and no Steve here to stop me. I'm reviewing this too, but don't let that stop you from getting further insight from Michael and his co-host, new voice for this season, and a great match to watch as Michael gets his revenge in the repeat match. The only difference from last time is the Clodshair over the Armourouge from last week. How does that change things? We can speculate, but Michael can give you the rundown. Enough selling. Ting-Lu gets up rocks and 40% on Iron Jugulis in exchange for half its own health. The Slow Twins doing nothing to each other really, but Slowking has Shadow Ball at least, gets paralyzed, but Shadow Ball with the Spadef drop into a crit brings Slowbro super low. Swap into Iron Moth, another Spadef drop, what? Swapping around forces the chilly reception as Slowbro gets to full Ting-Lu back in on Iron Jugulis and goes down to a quarter. Great Tusk in on Rock Slide, then to finally spin the rocks away, and the Slow Twins are in again. There's an early C-Titan. Belly Drum gonna win again this early. You're in front of Slowbro still. We already saw the T-Wave paralyze that guy too. Full para on the Terra Fairy and get some chip. Sack Ting-Lu and then let Iron Moth outspeed and KO. No sweep for you. Salamence in on Clodsire. Eat a crit Stone Edge, very neat. Gets Toxic off on Slowbro, who Terra's Psychic. Power up Psyshock, but Clodsire was already on its way out, thank you. Slowking crits Shadow Ball again, what? Hawlucha able to roost up though, but gets Toxic anyways. Salamence EQs and survives another Stone Edge to bring each other low in the Clodsire. Then Iron Moth gets in on Slowking. Energy Ball brings it low, but Slowking's alive. Then the misplay, the match, Great Tusk in on the next Energy Ball. Why? It's sacked from near full health for about nothing. A few switches from both sides, eventually Slowking chipped to a quarter, but it brings down Salamence. Chien-Pao in now, having seen Slowking's moveset, Sword Stance up. Is that game? Take down Slowking. Ice Shard the Breloom. Psych, that's a Focus Sash. Chien-Pao down, but Hawlucha KOs that, but gets revenged by Jugulis, but gets revenged by Iron Moth. It's Claude versus the world, by which I mean Iron Moth and Slowbro. Terra Psychic Psyshock does 84%. The friend-shaped Pokemon cannot stall out the Toxic turns, and it's GG from there. A 2-0 for the Burbs, who also move on. And finally, to determine who's playing who, it's the number 2 CL Steamrollers facing the number 7 Summit County Psyducks. The latter has been struggling. It should be an easy dub, right? Well, great match right here with a razor-thin finish. How did we get here? Volt Switch from Sandy Shock's chunks of about 60% from Scizor immediately. Quagsire shows Water Absorb early too against Tauros, who sets up instead a follow-up close combat from the bulked-up Bull KO's Scizor. Iron Valiant in early Spirit Break almost KOs Grimmsnarl from full, but not quite. Leaves him parting gift of a T-Wave and a Reflect. Tauros in again. Raging Bull immediately doing 65% to Rotom. What is the answer to this mon? Terra Electric from Tauros and Terra Water from Rotom Heat, swapping typings here, very cute, as Tauros sets up again and resists Discharge. The follow-up close combat KOing Rotom for the early lead. Another close combat baited by Iron Valiant, but it goes down too, forces the Bull out finally after 3 KOs. Mousehold is in, Tauros with Intimidate, Bite, Flinch, that's actually huge at 86%, -1 Population Bomb actually has a shot, and it makes it. Can Mousehold win by itself? Floatzel on the free switch in, but knowing it's walled by Quagsire, Chad with the smart double into Gengar, very nice, into Excalibur on the Energy Ball, then into Palper to sack that. There's no more rain left for Swift Swim. Sandy Shock's in, and there's the break that Chad needed as 2 Earth Powers KO Quagsire. Excalibur barely survives when it KOs back, and then Gengar KOs that. Mousehold against Gengar, and Floatzel in the back. Can it pull it out? Tidy up will let it outspeed Jelly Floatzel in the back, but Gengar reveals the tech encore. Stuck cleaning for 2 more turns. A pair of Energy Balls will be enough to finish off Mousehold. Barely. A close, well-fought 2-0 win for Chad. That is what happened in the play-in round. And that will set up the conference semis, overall quarters in Johto. The Steamrollers and Burbs were destined to play again here, and the Incineroar with the comeback into the next round against the Bouffalant. And as we discussed last time, we have the Agrons and Wobbuffets plus the Noctowls and Majesty over in Paldea. where to start. How about with me? My Bouffalant will be taking on the Incineroar, the only team to make it in outside of the top 4 of their conference. We faced off in Week 4, where the Incineroar did not have the same team as they do now. Not only did they forget they had Palafin available, they also have now traded away a few mons, including Meowscarada, which got their only KO the first time around in a 5-0 loss. But they acquired Annihilate, Hydreigon, and Brute Bonnet, a potentially very different look from last time. That list of banned mons on the roster grows ever larger, with Palafin, Espathra, and Annihilate, and Garganacci has gotten a 6-0 by itself this season as well. Could be a lot of fun to see if they can withstand the onslaught from Gholdengo, Azumarill, and others from a Bouffalant team that has not shown any weaknesses since Week 1. The Incineroar seemed like a sleeper pick, should be fun, but you know the Bouffalant have to be favored here. The one with a little more guaranteed intrigue on the outset is the Steamrollers and Burbs. So the Steamrollers intentionally gunning for the revenge matchup after being humiliated in Week 5 as well as the 10 and 11 finals. Missing Drizzle on Pelipper the first time around, the Burbs seemed like they had the upper hand since moment 1. Amazing considering the Steamrollers at the time were 4-0, and the Burbs had barely scraped by their first W the prior week against a non-playoff team. Ever since, the Burbs have gone 4-1, with the Steamrollers without a convincing W. But you know Chad's been scheming. Will we see Pelipper again? Drizzle this time? Will Michael have more tricks up his sleeve? The Burbs defeated the Steamrollers in each of the previous 2 finals matches, but one will be eliminated here in the round of 8. It's so tough to pick. I think the Steamrollers will come out with their traditionally strong playoff form, but the Burbs have the recent history and have looked better as of late. This should be the guarantee for a banger this week. Don't make me pick, but I think the Steamrollers may have this one. Before wrapping up Johto, interesting to note that aside from a mon that's been eliminated on the Mudkips, we have Gholdengo for the Bouffalant, Espathra for the Incineroar, Gengar for the Steamrollers, and Iron Moth for the Burbs, all tied at the KO leaderboard at number 1 in that conference. Another side story to watch, who will finish on top there. In Paldea, we have rematches from further away from the middle of the season. The Noctowls and Majesty first faced off in Week 2. This was a 5-0 for the Noctowls, as were probably most of their matches, and this one featuring T-Tar walling Chi-Yu forever in an endgame sweep from Great Tusk en route to becoming the overall KO leader. The Noctowls have not slowed down. The Majesty with a couple clutch wins and disappointing losses in between. And while I'd love to touch on this matchup more, it's tough to say anything more when the Noctowls have dominated literally everybody all season. 8-0, probably just going to continue that on. What a story, though, if the Majesty pulled off the W in their first main league season. Already impressive that they got some of the Ws they did and made it this far. And finally, the Agrons ended with the 2 ahead of Steve's 3-seeded Wobbuffets. Curious to see the quick turnaround adjustments for these two after a Week 8 matchup that clinched the playoff spot for the Wobbuffets. This was a feature match as well. Go check this one out for the full story, but it looked like Steve was in control for most of the match until Excalibur came out at the end and had a shot to sweep, but he didn't set up the second D-Dance to win, so Steve was able to methodically achieve his win con and secure the bag. So what about this time? What adaptations are made? Is Sun coming again? Maybe a ground resist from the Agrons for Sandy Shocks? Historically, it's been all Wobbuffets, so that's probably my pick here. But it'll be good to see one of these teams make the conference finals at least. That'll wrap up a quick one for me. Sorry if I end up going a little bit fast. I've been trying to record this several times and my computer has not been cooperating. Definitely check out the feature match for this week and previous weeks. Hopefully this will give or at least satiate your desires for a little bit more WCL content as we start to wrap things up here. Hopefully we'll get Steve back next time and we'll see what maybe we can do extra for the conference finals or at the very least the big finals. We'll see you next time.